everyone, welcome back to Law Study Kit. For those of you who are new here, I'm Rabia. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer based in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm also the founder of Law Study Kit. Law Study Kit is an online platform designed to help NCA students with the NCA exam material. I specifically provide sample questions and answers to help you prepare for your exams. If you're interested, you can take a look at my link below and see if you need any assistance. In this video, I'd like to talk about the recent changes to the NCA policy and kind of explain them to you, and also give you my opinion on whether I think that these changes are good or whether I think that these changes are not such a great idea. But if you're somebody who is looking to apply for an NCA assessment, you want to make sure that you know all of the recent changes because they might affect your assessment. So if you're interested in knowing more about these changes, keep watching. The NCA has made three major changes to its most recent policy that came into effect June 1st, 2021. And I would highly encourage you to actually go on Google and type up NCA Policy 2021 and actually give it a good read to kind of understand what the NCA process looks like, and also what are some of the things that the NCA is looking for, and also kind of the procedure that they have in place. So highly recommend that you take a look at the policy yourself. But just to sum up, they made changes to three major sections in their policy. First off is subsection 10, which talks about different competencies, and they made changes to the legal research component of the NCA assessment. The second change they made was regarding mode of study. So like online learning or in-person learning, they made some changes to that. And the last change that they had made was regarding the NCA appeal policy. So for example, if you're appealing an assessment, what is kind of the procedure? Now, the last one, which is the appeal policy, I'm not going to talk about it in this video or in the upcoming videos, just because it's just basic information in terms of how many days you have to appeal, how many days will they take to answer your appeal. So it's very like procedural, and I feel like it's going to be kind of boring. So you can definitely read it on your own. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the first component, which is the legal research component. And then in my next video, which is going to come out next week, I'm going to talk about the mode of study component. So if you'd like to make sure that you don't miss it, you can subscribe to my channel and make sure that you don't miss any videos. So talking about the legal research component of the NCA assessment. Now, before I begin to talk about what changes the NCA has made, I'd like to take a step back and just give you a little bit of background in terms of what does it really mean when I say legal research component. Now, the NCA assesses law degrees for people who are trained outside of Canada. And when they do assess your law degrees, they have to make sure that, you know, the students who come from different jurisdictions have different competencies that a Canadian law graduate has. So for example, subsection 10 of the policy talks about those competencies. So for example, problem solving, communication, legal research, and different type of competencies that foreign trained lawyers must have in order to be similar to Canadian law school graduates. Now, when I was writing these exams, and when I'm sure a lot of people are writing these exams now, a lot of these components are fulfilled by just writing the NCA exams. So you get an assessment, you write these exams, and then you fulfill all of the components, all of the competencies, including problem solving, communication, and legal research and writing, and you don't really have to do anything else to fulfill those competencies. So that's the procedure that has been going on for the past couple of years. But now what the NCA has done is that they require students to actually fulfill the legal research competency by either going to a Canadian school and taking a legal research course or taking a course that the NCA will be providing. So you will no longer be able to fulfill the legal research competency by just writing these exams, but you will have to take extra course, which is going to be a legal research course, in order to fulfill that competency. So this is what the change is, so when does this policy come into effect? So keep in mind that this policy applies to people who receive their NCA assessment on or after January 1st, 2022. So what that means is that you received an assessment on January 1st, 2022 or after that. If you receive your assessment before January 1st, 2022, this rule no longer applies to you. It only applies to you after that date. So make sure if you want to not get trapped in this rule, you kind of apply for an assessment before that and you receive the assessment before that specific date. I actually think that this is a very good change that the NCA has come up with, just because I feel like Canadian law school graduates actually learn this skill when they're in school. And I also learned it when I did the pre-LLM and then the LLM. They actually teach you how to conduct legal research. And the course was very interesting. They will actually teach you how to use softwares and kind of conduct all the legal research and then how to write using that research that you conducted. So it was super, super helpful. And I think that students who only do these NCA exams kind of lack this skill because you're not really learning how to use those online softwares. You're just kind of learning it on your own. So I think having to do a course is going to be super, super helpful. And I mean, if you're somebody who's going to apply next year and you're probably thinking that, why do you have to do this? And, why is this change affecting me? I think that you're in good position or you're in a good place just because you're going to be learning a lot more than people who did these exams before you. Legal research and writing is a very, I would say, important skill for a lawyer. So in my opinion, this is a good change, and I think that people who will be writing these exams will definitely benefit from it. I hope that this was helpful. This is the first change that the NCA has implemented in its new policy. And the second change that I'll be talking about is mode of study, which is whether online learning is sufficient or do you have or your law degree has to be in person. The NCA has kind of changed the rules, and when I was reading them, they were a little bit confusing, but I'll talk about it in my next video. So if you're interested, make sure that you're here. And just a last advice that I would like to pass on to whoever's watching. Because you're going to be lawyers in a couple of years, it's not a bad idea to actually look at the law and the policy and the regulation. So for example, I have the policy printed out just because I was reading it and I was very interested to see what the actual policy is and what the NCA is looking at before they actually issue assessments. So not a bad idea to read it and have a copy of it on your desk. So definitely recommend that you do that. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.